All right, class. Sergio Silva Jr. here, um, doing our week two's discussion board. Option number one. Um, so going into reliability versus validity in terms of assessment tools and kind of breaking down each little category of both reliability and validity, finishing off with the concept of base rates. So going straight into it, test and retest reliability is essentially measuring how reliable is this test when taken in point A and then taken again in point B. So measuring communication styles of an individual, um, today and then a month from now without any significant life changes, measuring that again, you should in theory have the same results. Alternate form reliability, using that same example, would be giving this test to an individual now and then giving a completely different form of that test. You would hope to get very similar data if it's meant to measure the exact same thing, communication styles, for instance. Um, Another place this is another context this could be really important in is maybe for couples counseling. You give one communication style test assessment tool. I keep using the word test, but assessment tool for one partner, and then you give a completely different one to another partner. And if there isn't a ton of reliability and cross compatibility there, then you're going to have some skewed data. Split half reliability is essentially measuring the consistency, splitting the test into two halves, and really kind of going through and seeing if the scores are at least similar in both of the halves. Inter-item reliability is quite literally inter-item, like in each and every item, are they relevant to what you're trying to measure? Is there reliability here? Is one item randomly kind of completely going off scale, or is item to item to item going to be a reliable questions or whatever the assessment tool is? So inter-rater reliability, this is particularly relevant, I think, or interesting at least for me. I've talked about working at the Equine Healing Collaborative, and we can have a lot of subjective takes on things, and so there might not be a ton of inter-rater reliability for some of the non-standardized equine assessment tools that we use, given the really subjective approach to the data analysis. But that's essentially the term means, is there reliability from one observer or analyst to the other, to the rater. So finishing up there, just for the sake of time, going into the types of validity. And while reliability is more kind of measuring consistency, validity is really measuring kind of accuracy, if you will. And there's content validity. Content validity is all of this information in here. Are all of these, is all the information, all these different questions, are they actually measuring what I'm aiming to measure, what it's claiming to measure, right? And then there's criterion related validity. Is this related to a particular criterion that you're also using in this assessment or this conceptualization? So you're utilizing an assessment tool to measure anxiety, but you're also utilizing the DSM's criteria for anxiety for your conceptualization and your understanding of this particular situation. Do you have is there a concurrent validity there, right? Predictive validity. Are the correlating test scores is there a correlation between the test scores and future outcomes? Can we predict these communication styles? Can we predict intermarital partner violence or something in that regard? So construct validity. This was a little difficult for me to understand at first, but I found a little better of an understanding after talking about it in class. Construct validity is very similar to what I was talking about content validity, but instead of measuring each and every question, it's, does this thing as a whole, when I'm done going through this test, did it actually measure? Is the construction of this test valid for measuring X, right? And base rates, base rates is a really important context to consider here for the analysis of your assessments. And that's essentially the frequency of occurrence of a characteristic or a condition in a given population. So how much does this actually happen? You're measuring stress levels in a family with a newborn baby and two kids. That's the base rate of that is probably going to be pretty high. And so if they measure pretty high in a stress test, you're not going to be completely alarmed. So that's really important context to consider when analyzing data. All right, that is it for this discussion board. I will post all of my references, which will mainly be the book by Danica Hayes. All right, cheers. Hope you enjoyed.